Hi Andrea, how are you? So far today you've hosted 2 panels. What are the key things you took from them?
One of the most powerful things I heard, which my second panel, that came from Yanis from Kayed Gaming, is this: look, if I had a utopia, it is the education and trust between us all.
On that topic, I have a question about the utopia as well. You mentioned Payments Utopia and you spoke with your guests what this means for them. What does it mean for Neosurf?
I personally hate two-factor authentication. When you get, even with my Adobe, which has got nothing to do with money, it's going to have nothing to do with money laundering. I appreciate it's a PDF thing. I have to go into an app to say, yes, it's me, before I can actually do my work. So for payments, it's becoming even triple that. And our utopia is to allow all the things we do have to check. I have to know it's you. I have to know you are where you are living and that you're not a fraudster, you're not a money launderer. But I have to make sure that, because most of the people are genuine, that you can have a user experience which is simple. I agreed with Roberto in one of the panels where he said, it's not necessarily one click, but it has to be simple. And I totally agree with that. So my utopia is to serve all the regulations that we've got to do at the fullest, if not better than they think we need to, whilst making sure that the customer just gets on with what they need to do. We'll stop you if you're not a good guy, but let it all be in the background. You don't actually have to keep doing everything. There's lots of digital tools, and we have a strong decision science and AI stuff behind the scenes doing that. And we just started the, I called it today, the KYC handshake with the operators and other suppliers. People are worried about it with the GDPR in Europe. So it depends what you're doing. You can do that. And if you do that with token and a KYC handshake, that brings that utopia.
What about Metaverse? I'm going to ask about the Metaverse now. How does Neosurf bring payments into the Metaverse?
The thing about the Metaverse and the future is that it is going to be there. You can sit and watch the Facebook stuff and understand what Meta are doing, but the core thing that we're going to be in our role is the bridge between fiat, which is the normal currency, and into the Metaverse. I believe that it's a bit of a hype right now. It's an in-word, but it is here. It's not something coming, it is already here. And the whole point for us is to ensure that that journey, because that will become more and more regulated as it goes, and that's going to be the next regulation, is again what the players and the customers want, and be able to use the currencies in the virtual currencies. They'll want it instant. They have no interest in doing 5 different steps just to be able to go and buy a riot point. And in the gambling space, whatever they're going to be able to produce in this space. The Metaverse to us is making sure that that payment, digital payment into virtual currency, is done properly and quickly.
Will I be wrong if I say that cash is slowly becoming redundant in this case?
The Financial Conduct Authority here in the UK are pursuing that we engage more cash users. That cash is not dead. The minute we think cash is going to be dead, it's going underground. Don't do that, because that's the worst bit. There are more euros in circulation now than there was 10 years ago. So cash is not dead. Most of the people who say cash is dead are the people who, well, I don't have a need to use cash. Well, you've probably got a job, you're probably in the country you were born in, you're probably all right with your banking, and that's great. That's not the case for everybody, and even in the Western world, cash is very expensive to be poor. So we have to make sure that the cash is still around and still able to be used. One of our core jobs is to get cash traceable into the system. Allow the person that needs to be on cash, fine. Traceable into the system and out. So it's not dying. People think cash has died, it's not.
So what can operators do to cater more towards users of cash?
Well, to be honest, they're already doing it, because there's us, there's PaySafe Card. I can't believe I'm sitting here in an interview talking about my competitors, but I know the people. So I'm Much Better and Cash to Code. We're all traceable cash solutions. In the US, you've got that really growing in the US. You've got Vanilla Direct with Incom. We're just about to launch in the US. We've got Metropolitan Commercial Bank with us as our sponsor. And we've done a lot of research there. And it's about making sure that they can be traced. The regulator distrusts the idea of cash because, oh no, that's going to be money laundering. Actually, it's traceable cash is what we pay Safeguard, everybody, that's what we do. So you're serving the player, getting their ability to do it, but you've got to be able to give them it back too. The only place I can get cash out, really, in gambling in America is going to the casino. If I don't live in Atlantic City, what am I supposed to do? So it's making sure that they can have that option. There's still a good percentage of them. It's about, in some of the states, it's about 8% of the deposits in gambling on sports betting in America, but unbeknown to the operators because they're going into shops and buying very expensive prepaid cards and using them, so they see it as a card transaction.
Now going back to your company, I think during ICE it was that you announced digital cash. Maybe I'm wrong, I don't remember quite correctly. Could you give us an update on that and how excited are you for its future?
So digital cash actually is designed for the gamer world. It's definitely designed for the Metaverse. We finally got our trademark thing going through with all the operational stuff. We've got our beta app out there with some gamers. So we're using it and learning that. We're working with some of the big operators in the game sector. And we're on target at the end of this month to take it beyond beta. But it is a divide. It's a divide for the gambling players know what Neosurf is. Digital cash is about the games player and the esports player, but it will start to converge, especially with esports, betting, etc. But the concept of the digital cash is a real true bridge between the general currency and the virtual currency. And that's more than just a payment mechanism. It's about the whole environment of what I'm going to do with my funds. So the app is crucial to do that. That's where the user is going to be environed with it, and that app is always going to be there for what they need to do. So it's not, although it's by Neosurf, it's not just going to be a Neosurf thing.
You mentioned esports and gambling. What are the trends you see in both industries combining slowly but surely?
At the end of the day, if there's an esports competition going on and you want to gamble on an esports versus a physical sports, it's going to happen. There was a lot of talk in COVID going, this is the way it's going to happen. It's got nothing to do with COVID, it was happening already. The esports competitions are massive. I went to the League of Legends World Championship in Paris, and I'd never been to anything like it in my life. There were more people who watch that and stream that than anybody does with the Super Bowl or the World Cup final, and the noise is immense. Esports is a massive, massive piece. Betting on esports, well, I'm not the regulator who's going to say whether that's a right game or a wrong game, but people have gambled on a horse running since the day dot, so they're going to do it on esports. The answer is, though, do we cross that barrier of a youngster who's playing that esports to encourage them to bet? That's not something we want to encourage. That's why we're also dividing Neosurf with digital cash.
Mm-hmm. Thank you for that. That was actually my next question. Was going to be about your views on the esports audience being predominantly younger.
I think we have social responsibility. And our social responsibility, I hope everybody takes that through, and I think everybody I speak to does understand that. And so there is a social responsibility about not, excuse the expression, but grooming an esports player into betting on another esports game. Although when you look at Twitch, people have been they put money in to people playing each other to be able to have winnings at the end of it. So it depends how it goes. And we all know the regulator's going to be they're going to step in. But if we take our social responsibility now, then we can help that education and trust with the regulator to not suddenly just close it down.
Is social responsibility something you can learn at events like Betting on Sports Europe? And for what other reason is it important to attend events like Betting on Sports Europe?
I think it's time for our industry to be a little bit more open about what we do. People used to think, I have to keep it quiet because nobody understands what I'm talking about and they'll misunderstand what I'm talking about and make me be the bad guy. We're not. The industry has a role to play in making the fun happen, using a bit of a British phrase, when the fun stops, stop, etc. That's what we used to have. But this environment is very much one of engagement and talking. And there's some really good conversation going on. Ice is ice. Ice is just massive, and everybody's meeting each other. It's all business meetings. This is real conversation here.